Good evening, everyone. I hope you're well. We've had a few technical issues this evening. Just to let you know, I was hoping to be fully prepared at this particular point. Good evening, by the way, everybody. Welcome to Team Webinar. Everything was ready to go. Everything was prepared. And guess what? Google decided to change something this evening on their settings, which is giving us slight issues sharing the screen. Okay, so I won't, just so you know, we do have a little bit of a time delay on this, so I won't be able to keep up with you 100%. It's about 30 seconds behind any comments you're actually making there, so hopefully you can, if you can see me, all right, if you can put something in the chat there, at least I'll know. It'll come through to me a few seconds later that you're actually there. But yeah, Google decided to do the backup for our webinar. This evening, they're going to muck around with the screen sharing, which is how we get the PowerPoint presentation to you. Literally about 20 minutes before we actually went live, okay, which is a slight issue for us, of course. So what we're going to do, I've been playing around with it, and I think I've got a variation that'll actually work. Like I said, if you can see me, then obviously, like I said, do something, say something in the chat. Otherwise, I'm not going to know. Like I said, we're going to go ahead. Hopefully, everything's running okay. Hey, yes, I can see some wires there. Excellent. And so, like I said, this might sound like it's coming a little bit behind because there is a 30-second delay. So, what I'm going to try and do, like I said, completely changing it around. It's all technical stuff, but I won't be able to see you guys, okay? I won't be able to see what's going on in the chat, so I'm going to have to cut the chat off in a minute and just try something a little different. So, like I said, bear with us. Hopefully, I mean, just to give you a bit of background on this trading, Gavin, you probably heard us heard Gavin say last week, wanting me to do this because we've done this at Bob's Millionaires trainings. Seemed to go down pretty well there. So we'll run through. Hopefully, like I said, that we'll be able to come back to you and it'll all work. So fingers crossed. Like I said, I'm sure we've had a few issues this particular year, and also, of course, as we said, you probably read there, we haven't got the option for videos at the start of the webinar and the end of the webinar. So bear with me in a second. The screen may flick around a little bit. I've asked Sue to come down if it's not actually working, because I won't be able to tell otherwise from any of your comments. So what I am going to do now is cut the chat. That probably would have gone a little earlier for you. And we're just going to see how we go with sharing the screen here. So bear with me, please. It'll probably look a little strange here just for a second. Okay, and hopefully you'll be able to see that. Fingers crossed anyway, and this was the only way we could actually find to make the thing work. So the title of my talk this evening is "You Are Not a Tree," which might sound a little strange to a few of you. Well, yeah, that's obvious that we're actually not a tree. And the reason for this is that you may or may not have heard this particular phrase before from Jim Rohn, saying if you don't like how things are, change it. You're not a tree, meaning that you don't have to accept things the way we are. If you like, we are the only animal that has the freedom of choice. Geese fly south in the winter. I'm sure if you could ask a goose and they could say, well, why do you fly south in the winter? They wouldn't have a clue why, but they just know that they fly south in the winter. They're part of it's just part of the genetic code. But we have choice. And isn't that great that we have choice? We could do anything we like with our life, of course, but sometimes we don't always make the right choices, perhaps. Now, let's just look at some changes really that's happened over the years with Kleeneze. And most of you know, I'm sure, that Kleeneze started back in 1923. And that's Harry Crook there. And it was just started in Bristol in a back street. You can see, probably see the Kleeneze sign. That was Kleeneze's first head office back then. And things have certainly changed since that time. State-of-the-art centre up in Accrington, of course. And there's a question here for you, and all of these are going to be rhetorical questions rather than any that you can interact with. But do you know the first country Kleeneze opened for business outside of the UK? Some people say, was it Ireland? Some people say, was it another European country? And it's just purely a little bit of stuff that we've thrown in for you. It was actually in Toronto, in Canada, in 1931. It was obviously pre the Second World War. Things have changed a little bit since, well, I don't think they looked exactly the same as that when that particular picture was actually put together, but they actually were in Toronto and Canada in 1939, and the Second World War put an end to all of that, of course. Now, what we used to sell on the doorstep, okay, and this is pretty much what we used to sell. And if you don't like change, some people don't like change, so, well, I don't really like things changing. Well, of course, if you don't like change, there are these sort of brushes. That could be your catalogue now that you'd be walking around with if you didn't like change back in the 30s. Or 20s or 30s, and Kleeneze distributors were called boosters back then. They weren't called even distributors, so things have changed a lot, obviously, since that time. And in 1970, there was a lot of change. Kleeneze went to network marketing. I know Kleeneze felt a bit of backlash. A lot of the people saying, oh, we don't like this newfangled thing. And of course, network marketing has been gone on to prove what a fantastic way it is of distributing products to the public. And that was 1970. That was obviously over 40 years ago since we went into that particular thing. And in 1982, the first proper Kleeneze catalogue started, where we, rather than just knocking on the door, prior 1982, it was people knocking on the door trying to simply sell the products out of suitcases, things like that. Then the first proper catalogue, that catalogue there isn't actually 1982. The sharp-eyed ones of you will see it says 1985, 1986 on that one. That was the earliest particular catalogue that I could actually find online. And you'll see the marketing department wasn't very good back then. I think we were selling trees or woods or something like that. At least we have products on the front cover nowadays. Now, I joined Kleeneze back in 1995, and there have been massive changes even in that period of time. At that particular time, we didn't have any accounts for everybody. You know, when you start, you get a 750 credit limit. That didn't happen back then. You had to be doing the equivalent of 13%, which is around about sort of £1,500 worth of retail each month, before you were allowed to have your own account. In fact, you had to trade through your upline. That was the way it actually worked back at that particular time. And we had one delivery day per week, and that was it. Where we lived, we had to get our order in, because it was just mainly done by post. I mean, if you wanted a fax, I'll tell you about that in a second. We needed to make sure the delivery was in the post first thing Wednesday morning, so it got to Kleeneze, hopefully, by the Thursday. And if it did, we'd get it the following Wednesday. Only on one order day per week. One great big van used to turn up, and if you missed them, that was just too bad. But if you decided to fax your order, that would cost you an extra £4. Now this is back in 1995, and that's on top of the $3.95 delivery charge. But we went and built a business then, and built a damn good business, even with these charges. Now, when you look at it, now you get free, you know, as long as it's over £250, free deliveries for the first year. It's absolutely unbelievable. You know, it couldn't be done, you know, I mean, that way back then. We would have loved what we have now, you know, without a doubt. And as we said already, delivery took 8 days to get to you, and if you were out tough, just wait another week. So, you know, we were waiting a long time for the orders, 8 days, and then if you missed them, it was another 8 days on top. So it's a world away just in 19 years, let alone, you know, the rest of Kleeneze's history, of course. Oh, and there's another Kleeneze change as well. Just slightly more hair back then, I'm sure you'll agree, and a little bit less around the belly too. But anyway, I think we'll move on quickly from that slide. So, I mean, nowadays, I mean, there's fantastic catalogues that we have, and an online store. And the online store just recently has there's been a few improvements there too. You know, speeding up and some of the layout. But I mean, the catalogues now, I don't know about you guys, I think the current batch of catalogues we have, I know people say this all the time, but genuinely are the best. I mean, I think that the products and the front covers are superb compared to what even we had a year ago. So it's great to see things moving forward. So change happens. You know, you can't stop change, and if you didn't have change, you would be going back and seeing some of those old products that's what you had to sell. And change happens in your Kleeneze business. Many people I know in Kleeneze sometimes wish it was the way it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Well, that's just not life. Things do move on. It's as simple as that. Yeah, here's an old Argos catalogue. I think this one's from the 70s or 80s, but look how things have moved on. Look at some of the brands and some of those that don't exist anymore, like Decca, Meccano, and things. You know, things move on. There's nothing you can do about that. And you'll see how things have changed with Argos. Now, I pick Argos because it's a catalogue-led business, of course. And in Argos, if you go in there today, the catalogue's still there. That's the main thing. That's the hub of the business. Nothing's changed on that. But the method of delivery has changed. It's not just go to the catalogue showroom. I mean, back then, when I started in the 90s, it was a matter of you go in and you've got rows and rows and rows of catalogues and their plastic covers, and you go and get your little betting slip and fill in your number and go and hand it over. Many of you probably buy differently from Argos now. Maybe you go and buy online and then go in and pick it up. You don't have to fill in the form. You just tap in a couple of things on the computer and it spits out the where you're going to collect it from, and you can be in and out in seconds. So things move on and things change, but the core is the same. The core of what Argos do is the same, but the way of delivery has changed. Here's a question for you. Are your people earning enough money? You see, people tend to stay when they are earning money. If they're not earning money, the people that you bring in, they're not going to hang around for that long. So you need to be getting money in people's pockets as soon as possible. And I know Kleeneze are very much on this thought. So, you know, I know they're doing tests and there'll be other things, and I'm sure a load of things mentioned at the conference or the showcase coming up in September, which you've really got to get to in your team. That's going to be a brilliant, brilliant event, as always is. It's one of the major events of the Kleeneze catalogue, the Kleeneze year, I should say. But I'm hopefully going to give you some ideas here how you can start putting some money, one in your pocket and also in other people's in your team. Now, can you relate to this? Distributors telling you that Kleeneze doesn't work around here. Like I said, I can't see your feedback on this, and I think I've frozen the chat anyway, but Kleeneze is telling you it doesn't work around here. Always amazes me when people tell me that. I have people say, yeah, but nobody buys around this area. This is somebody I've just phoned up, and I think, what sort of conversations do you have over Sunday lunch? You know, do you say, well, you know, you're talking about, I don't know, the price of fish or whatever over Sunday lunch, or maybe at the barbecue on a Saturday. You say, oh, do you actually realise Kleeneze doesn't work around here? I don't know. Do some people have that sort of conversation before they join Kleeneze? But they must do, because people tell me Kleeneze doesn't work around here. And I said, well, how do you know? Because, well, I've spoken to my friends and they say it doesn't work. I thought, you have a strange life. But this is a method, you know, one of your conversations, I guess. So, I mean, do you think Kleeneze have great catalogues? I mean, I do. Like I said, I mean, if I was in an environment in a meeting room, I'm sure I'd be getting feedback from you, because I know that Kleeneze have got great catalogues. Do you think Kleeneze offer a great service, or do you offer a great service? And I'm sure you do offer a great service to your customers. Does it sometimes frustrate you that more people don't buy from the catalogues? I'm just talking generally, you know, I mean, why don't more people buy? Now, this is a long shot, okay? But if you ever introduced a new distributor who had a bad first day, just maybe, it's like I said, it's a long shot, or maybe even first week. That could happen. Again, another long shot. See, most distributors just retail one way, I guess, is the truth. Most distributors just blanket drop, you know, they put 200 out, maybe a couple of days later pick them up or put them out every day. But they retail one way. But why is that? Why do we only retail one way? You're allowed to market your business in many different ways. You're not just starting a blanket dropping business. You are entitled to sell all of Kleeneze's products, and within legal limitations, pretty much any way you like. Okay, so there are different ways. I mean, we talk about fish pond training, don't we, when we recruit people? We say, you know, and if you're new to the business, we would just generally normally say to people, you know, when recruiting, there's fish pond training. We say, the reason we say it this way is the more rods you have in the pond, the more fish you're likely to catch. You know, you can say, we'll do it this method, that method. So we have lots of different ways of recruiting, whether it be flyers, cards, shop ads, online adverts. So why is it that we don't have the same attitude towards the retail. No, we only retail this one particular way. And bearing in mind we're talking about change, and as Gavin said last week on his webinar, when he started back in 1992, probably just blanket dropping was the way it is, but people are busy nowadays, things change, and we've got to adapt, or we get left with all the old type Kleeneze products we were talking about before, you know. So we've got to adapt to the marketplace today. And it's really important to say, what I'm going to share with you should be done in addition to your normal retail activities. So if you do, you know, a regular blanket drop-in, that's absolutely fine. We're not knocking that, but we're saying, like Argos with the catalogue, there are different ways to move it, but it doesn't mean you stop the core. So whatever you do, just do it in addition, not as a replacement. What I'm going to cover tonight, some of you would have known before, and a few of you may have heard me talk about this before, but also I'm going to sort of bring some of it up to date. You know, presenting your catalogues is quite, you know, when I first put this together, when Gavin saw it, the tap and tell campaign wasn't actually in place at that stage. And also moving product online successfully, that might interest you, to move products online successfully. I'm going to share with you and give you some real meat on the bone tonight that you can take away and start using immediately. And I've got some good news for you. I'm sure that you might like to know this. Would you like to maybe in the next few days put several £100 worth of sales on top of your normal amount of sales? So you can do that without putting any additional catalogues out. Does that interest you? I'm assuming you're saying yes back to me. In my mind, that's what I think you're saying. And also just a few tips on communicating the business as well. So before we move on to those things, some of you that have been in a little while remember that we had the break free kit that's now long dead gone, and great I think as well, because we can get people started with the right amount of catalogues. But we used to have people starting with 5 or 10 catalogues. And didn't some of those people go out and get some damn good sales to start with? Pass them out to friends, family, neighbours, and certainly if you know people that maybe work in an office, work in a shop, if you get a catalogue in there, maybe with a bunch of ladies, that sounds very sexist, but you guys know what I mean, at maybe lunchtime, they'll sit there looking through the catalogues. It's not unusual to find people getting lots of orders. I mean, here's an extreme one. I know somebody who worked for Tesco's, and they went in with a catalogue, and they sell a lot of products in Tesco's, if you didn't know, and they probably get staff discount, but the guy came out with £400 worth of orders after taking a catalogue and a few orders in, because they had a lot of people working in the staff room who wanted some of the products. Now that's extreme, but certainly 50, 100, 150 pound is not unusual by doing that. So that was the way you had to move it. And I think maybe now, because we've got all these extra catalogues, people forget some of the basics. So to get those 5 or 10 catalogues out to family, friends, and obviously into workplaces as well. As I've already said earlier, we started back in 1995, and we were a big retailer. You know, we didn't present catalogues. Okay, but I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story now of how that changed a little bit. And we have a lot of big retailers in our team. I guess some of those people duplicated, you know, what we did. Now, I never presented a catalogue from 1995 to 2010, and it really wasn't something that was high on my agenda to do. And the previous managing director, Jamie Stewart, came on to me and said, Andy, he said, there's some people in Kleeneze that are doing really well presenting catalogues. Have you ever done it? Do you think it's a good idea? And this was my honest answer that I gave. I said, Jamie, I would rather put pins in my eyes than present catalogues. And he said, I think he thought at that time, okay, I'm not going to go down this route. I don't think Andy's mind is really open to the idea of presenting catalogues. Look, we've got a great income from Kleeneze. We should do. We've been with Kleeneze for a while. And we had a great mortgage rate up until 2010. Do you remember those, when you used to be able to get a mortgage relatively easily? In fact, they used to give them away with packets of cornflakes, and that's what we had at one particular time. We had a fantastic rate on our mortgage. In fact, you remember when we used to have interest rates? Then they come down and down and down and down, and now currently we're on 0.5%. And the interest rate was about 0.5% then, and this mortgage that I had was really good because it actually said you only have to, for the first 2 years, you pay 2% below the base rate. Now, I don't know how many maths geniuses are out there, but when the interest rate is 0.5% and you pay 2% below it, you ain't paying much. It's true to say, even though it's 0.5%, the Builders Society put their profit on it, and it's probably in truth sort of 3 or 4% for most people. But the bottom line was we were paying about, I think one time it went down to £27 a month on a £200,000 mortgage. We got quite a large mortgage. And the rate finished, and we knew it was going to go up, and it actually went up £800 per month. Now, I think most of us tend to live up to what we earn. Rightly or wrongly, that tends to be, unless you're earning real big money, it tends to be the case. So, and I don't know about you guys, but we didn't have an £800 spare each month at the end of the month. So I think, you know, we call that trauma. I think I was in a bit of trauma at that particular time. Now, we needed extra income, but certainly didn't want a job after being 15 years in Kleeneze and loving the business. But hey, at the end of the day, we needed an extra £800. So it was either we needed to get, you know, the house had to go, which wasn't an option, or we needed to get that extra income and needed to do something very urgently. And all of a sudden, presenting a few catalogues looked a lot more appealing than what it did a few months earlier when I was talking to Jamie. I thought, well, it's a case of either losing the home or getting a job. I'm going to go and put a few catalogues out. I'm sure you can concur with that. And like I said, this was before the Tap and Tell campaign. So what I'm going to talk about here is exactly what we did. But if you watch the Only in Kleeneze video that Lisa was doing the other day, she mentions the Tap and Tell. Said, look, this is not the only way of doing it. It's just one way. But you just need to keep it short and sweet and a way that works. So if the Tap and Tell campaign works for you, or what I'm going to say helps you, then, you know, all the better, I guess. So this was before the HPRH DVD. Now, some of you won't have a clue what that is. Basically, it was a DVD that used to be in the kit that used to teach you about presenting catalogues. And it was, I think, the most use was that you would have got out of it is using it as a coaster. Okay, don't ever watch it. It was. I used to have a few arguments with Jamie about this, and it's the most horrendous DVD I've ever seen, and completely unduplicatable and really complicated a simple art. So that we actually developed this that was working before that thing came out, and so we developed a simple, easy to duplicate script, pretty much the same as what the HPRH, sorry, not HPRH, the Tap and Tell campaign is doing. And others in our team started to copy us when they saw our results that we were getting. And we were starting to see £2 to £3 per catalogue on a regular basis. We would go out sort of probably presenting 40 to 50 catalogues per evening, 3 to 4 evenings per week. Normally did that between about 4:30 and sort of 7:30, something like that. 6 o'clock onwards, any of you that have done this will know it really speeds up. Probably get about 10 to 15 out per hour. And I guess you probably, to get 50 out, you probably go through 200 houses and you'll get half of those in. You get about 100 in. And out of the 100 you get in, you'll normally find 1 in 2 people will take a catalogue and have a look. You're not trying to put their arm up their back, you're just saying, do you want to have a look? Simple as that. So we did that between me and Sue, 3 or 4 evenings a week, and it immediately boosted our income enough to cover that £800 shortfall. Wow, how many other jobs or businesses can you just generate that extra income? And the difference it made to our customer base, because we started in around about April, May time. After 6 months, I think it's about April time. By the time Christmas came around, it made a huge, huge difference to our customer base. And you know, it's nowhere near as daunting as what you think it's likely to be as well. So, firstly, what do we say? Well, I mean, firstly, can you ask for a catalogue back? You know, people are sometimes scared of going up to people's houses and knocking on the door. What am I going to say? And what are they going to say? And, you know, I'm sure you've had all these fears when you first started in the business. You know, is a dog going to attack me or something? You know, all these irrational fears of what you think could happen that never do. So do you, I mean, you all go and ask, knock on the door and say, hi, it's Kleeneze, so just call for the catalogue. You see, if you can do that, you've got all the skills that are necessary to present a catalogue, because you're knocking on a door, smiling at somebody. And what I would say, the best way to do it is, rather than being a sales pitch, is to make it more sound like an inquiry. And probably the easiest way to put it to you is to say, if I was to knock on your, let's say my car broke down in the middle of the country outside your house, and I knocked on your door, I'd say, oh, hi, sorry to bother you. My car's broken down over there. Do you know where I can find the nearest garage? Most of you, I'm sure, will be able to do that. And it's just really making an inquiry like that when you want to leave a catalogue. And this is all we pretty much say. So, hello, I'm sorry to bother you. We're just delivering some Kleeneze catalogues in this area, and we've been asked to knock and see if we can leave you one to have a look at. Would that be okay? And if they say yeah, they'll either say yes or no at that point. If they say yeah, I say, I'm sure you know how it works. We'll be round tomorrow or in a couple of days, whenever it's going to be. Could you mind leaving it down there by the milk bottles for me to pick up, or leaving it on the side? So as simple as that. Hi, I'm sorry to bother you. We're just delivering some Kleeneze catalogues in this area, and we've been asked to knock to see if we can leave you one to look at. Would that be okay? Here was the thing that amazed me. Do you know I find I've gotten less negativity by doing that than actually by sometimes just dropping the books through the doors, because sometimes people don't like it because it's unsolicited. And I've actually got hardly any negativity at all. I'd have the people say, yeah, I'll have a look, or no, it's not really for me, mate, which is absolutely fine. And if they said that, I say, no, that's great, thank you very much, have a nice day, whatever it would be, and just back away, because I'm not trying to convince people to take my catalogues. And we found that by doing it that way, if I was to put out, say, 40 or 50 in an evening, about 1 in 5 people would tend to buy, and that's consistently, we saw that results, and with results in our team. And I'm sure if you've got people in your team, they'll tell you, you can see a similar type of results. Now, why not just present 50 each week? Maybe go out, you know, and do 10 a day. That's not hard. 10 a day hardly takes any time. On average, do you realise on average results, £2 to £3 a catalogue or £2.50 a catalogue, that would give you an extra £500 worth of sales each period. And not only that, if you do it, you'll then enthuse about it, and guess what? You'll teach it. Say, look what I've done, it's so simple, let me show you. And that could make a huge difference just by that. So if you're somebody, you know, was saying that's a bit more personable and that doesn't scare the life out of you, why not do that way? You know, and even if it does scare you a bit, why not actually go out with somebody, or go out anyway and just bite your lip and see what happens? And you'd be amazed, if you follow that type of script, what results you'll see. Now, some of you won't remember all of that. However, we've got a little website you can have. This is our gift to you, if you like, the stuff that we've used with our team over the years. But if you go to presentyourcatalogues.co.uk, so you might want to take a note of this, presentyourcatalogues.co.uk, you'll find a document there you can download that talk about what to say, and a short little video. It's not the best website in the world, could probably do with a bit of an update, to be honest, but it goes through the basics of what we're talking about. Kleeneze saw an average of £2.70 a catalogue. You can see that on there when they did the test for HPRH. We quite a little bit less, £2.50, but certainly £2 to £3 is extremely, you know, where it is, you know, when doing that. So if you want to use that for you and your team, we're not taking it down. We may update it at some point. It's a simple little website, but it works. Feel free to use that and get some use out of that. Now, how about moving products online? I'm sure some of you may like to know how to move some products online, and I'm sure some of you have tried, and trust me, I've tried quite a few ways of putting links all over the place on different places on the internet with, you know, very little success. So are we talking about selling through the online site, right? Well actually no, we're not. You make the mistake of thinking, because I'm saying I'm moving product online, that we're talking about moving product directly from your online shop. And your online shop's great for family and friends and neighbours and people that you know that live further away. So if you live down in London and you've got people who live in Scotland, it's fantastic to do that, because of course just for £3.95 it'll ship it all off to Kleeneze. So the online site is great for that type of thing. And we know, like I said, people like to buy online, but just make sure that you use that site for the distance. See, people like to buy online, but from our experience, they like to have person-to-person interaction. A little bit like how we do stuff with Kleeneze, person-to-person, rather than necessarily, you know, being faceless, of course. And online links, we found, and we've tried lots, just don't tend to do it. You know, you can go around pasting online links everywhere. I've spoken to quite a few people said, no, we haven't had much joy with it. And a lot of people are very suspicious about online links. They might think, you know, they hear about things being scams and trying to look like other sites. So people tend, unfortunately, not to trust links just that are just popping up everywhere. Now, we have found that you can sell successfully via local Facebook groups. And don't worry, we're going to show, even if you've never been on Facebook before and done it, we're going to show you, we're not going to go too much detail, but I'm going to make sure you know how to do that. Okay, so through local Facebook groups is the way that we found works really well. It's a place where people who don't like to buy online buy online. They don't like links. Okay, they don't like just sending money across, but you'll have to just trust me on that. It's a community of people who just want to talk to each other on Facebook. If you know what groups are like, or you've been in for selling groups, you'll know what I'm talking about. People say, I've got this particular product here, you know, how much is it? Well, I'd be interested in buying that. I'll pick it up off you, or you can deliver it to my house. Now, I wanted to prove I could sell over £195 in 1 week using Facebook groups, equivalent of 10% bonus. Okay, wouldn't that be useful? I just wanted to do, and it didn't take me a whole week to do it, but just to find some time, just on top of the normal stuff that we do, to move £195 in product, which would be the equivalent of 10% bonus. And I actually sold £235 spare time, mainly after 9 p.m, which ties in everything with what I said. You know, really before, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m, you want to be really speaking to people about the business maybe and doing your retail activity. So this is the other side of that time. Mainly after 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, or sometimes in the morning, you could put some extra time in to do this. Now, before I go on to that particular one, now, as I've said earlier, this should be done on top of your catalogue side, which I would say that should be the case. But would it be disastrous if you got somebody in who wanted to sell online and you showed them the techniques of what we did here, and they did £235 every week, or even £250 every week, and say £1,000 a period? Would that be a disaster if you could find ways of doing that? Like I said, the sensible move is to do it on top of the catalogues, of course. Now, some of you are going to know this, because I know if you look on Gavin's, after I sort of did this at the meeting, from what I understand, there's been quite a lot of talk on this on the voicemail system, and I know on Facebook. But assuming you don't know, would you like to know a really hot seller at the moment? And I went online and sold 6 of these the first morning and got £90 in orders. And this is a product that currently is not in the catalogue, but because we found, and we've started sharing this, Kleeneze have kept it on. And I found out today as well that that for some reason, that I know the numbers were going down what they had in stock of this particular product, but they're up to about 2,900 products, I think, currently, that they've actually got in stock. So there's loads more still there. And I went online and sold 6 of these in the morning. That was an extra £90 in orders. Somebody else in our team sold 15 in a couple of days. That's an extra £225 worth of orders on top of the catalogue side. And another, and I'll say another, it's my stepdaughter, Zoe, who sold 42 in 2 weeks, which actually worked out to be an additional £630 worth of orders. And it's in your online shop, and it's available for you to sell. Would you like to know what it is? Well, it's the expandable hose. There's the code number. You'll find it in your online shop if you search expandable hose. $14.99. Okay, that works a dream. We would just put a little advert like that together saying, have you seen these? Because these are being advertised on TV at the moment for about $37.99, and in the newspapers they're virtually exactly the same product. You've probably seen them, branded X-Hose and things like that, pretty much exactly the same, and we're selling them for $14.99. Of course they're selling well, these expandable 50-foot hose. You've only got to look on some of the digital TV and see them. So we placed an advert together like that, put it on there, and they were just selling, and they're still selling. I spoke to one guy in our team. He said, don't mention it tonight, don't mention it tonight. He said, they'll all buy them. So I've sold 23 this week. Well, The reason, like I said, we share this type of thing, we want everybody moving forward. And even when these sell out, that £235 that I sold had nothing to do with this particular product. They were different products as well. Now, to help you with that, we've got another web page we've put together. If you want to use this one, get your pens out, okay? www.sellonfb.co.uk. I did actually have it sell on Facebook, and then Facebook contacted me threatening circumcision if I didn't actually remove the name Facebook from my domain, or words to the effect of that in their email. So, so sell on FB I thought was a much less painful option. So if you want to, there's 4 little videos we put together there, okay, that explain one, and only a few minutes each, just like really easy to show you how to do it, even if from a novice to somebody that's been doing it for a while. And also there's examples on there of the type of adverts that we've done and had some success with, so you can use them yourself. So hopefully you'll get some use out of that. Okay, sellonfb.co.uk. Now here's where a few people go wrong on this. Some people, I mean, we'll put it this way: would you expect to put 25 catalogues out each week and expect £500 worth of orders? Again, I'm assuming you're saying no, and you wouldn't expect that to happen. Of course you wouldn't. But some people place 2 or 3 ads and leave it at that in 5 or 10 local groups and expect massive success. Otherwise, I won't bother after that. You know, maybe work 2 or 3 ads per day over many local groups, which you can do really quickly if you follow the advice in the video, if you want some success selling online. But it does tend to work best with local groups. People like to deal with local people, very much the same as Kleeneze if you think about it that way. And people do like to deal with local people online, and very often, depending on how far you want to go out, and it depends on your geography, you'll find that maybe you have 10, 20, 30, 40 groups locally that you can advertise in with a little bit of searching. So work in the times that don't affect, of course, your catalogue and team building activities, of course. Now, communicating the business, and I know some people have different views on this, but you know, this is my particular one this evening. I'm giving my advice. So, you know, if anything that that I say here doesn't really sort of gel with you, you know, check with your upline. That's absolutely fine. But in my opinion, you have to make it more sense for people to join you than not to join. I think some of the things that came out recently when they did a few months ago, back in sort of April, May time, when they brought out the SSBs and the mini promotion, and they improved the 30-day challenge, which have been fantastic. But also one of the things that probably didn't get as much headline was the money back guarantee. Now, we've always had that, but for the reason they moved it from 14 days to 30 days, and I've spoken to somebody at head office today, very high up, and I haven't got any figures for you, but from what I've been told is that all the new initiatives that have been brought in, whether it be this or some of the other things, has now improved retention within Kleeneze, which is a fantastic piece of news, of course. And I think probably this has played no small part, because I think sometimes people, I'm sure some of you can relate to this, they get in, they of course read there's a 14-day money back guarantee before they sign it, and people start getting a little bit fearful. Maybe as it runs up to that, maybe they've only done 1 drop of catalogues and they haven't had the best start. But the great thing about this is people can now relax and just say, hey, if you have a slow start, it can happen, happens to all of us, just get those catalogues back out there and working for you, of course. So here's a way you can communicate that, and some people do this, and I heard Chris Mason Paul say this a few years ago, and I've often used this, because sometimes people, we're not talking about getting them focused on the quitting side, quite the reverse. Sometimes people just need to relax a little bit and have a bit of peace of mind, like any other shop or QVC who offers a money back guarantee. So they're so confident of your success in the business, they allow you to try it risk-free for the first 30 days. And I've used this many times over the years, and the worst case scenario is if you find Kleeneze really isn't your thing, you'll probably still earn yourself a few £100 in the process of finding out, and still walk away with your £25 back and nothing to pay. So that's a way of communicating it. But just to add a bit more to that, from a couple of distributors that I mean, I'm not here with all the answers like all you guys. You're taking from people that know and sometimes do it better than you can. And here's a couple of killer lines. This top one here comes from Mike Goff. He says you have 2 ways to join us. You can either pay £160 up front, or alternatively pay £25 deposit and then you won't have to put your hand in your pocket again, as it's self-funding, because of course your earnings will do that. But then this week I heard a brilliant way of putting it from Neil Young, and if you haven't watched it yet, put a bit of time aside to watch the Only in Kleeneze video that came out from head office, because there's some good stuff on there. Neil's talking about it and put some great tips across. And one that Neil said, I said, it's very, very similar to that, but I just love the way he put it. He said, you won't have to put your hand in your pocket again as your customers pay for the other installments with the orders you receive. What a great way of putting it. And sometimes you have to put things in little sound bites because you've only got so much. And I know there's a line out there that says you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Trust me, I think you can. I've seen people do it. I know what it means, but you know, you only have so much time to communicate the business, and little sound bites like that all of a sudden gets them off thinking about the installments, but seeing and thinking about the profits, of course. And this is a real paradigm shift for prospects. And sometimes, I don't know if you've had this, where sometimes you're speaking to prospects about it, and you may have mentioned there's a money-back guarantee, but they've still got it in their head. They can't afford to risk it. And I've used this a couple of times, and I've spoken. I know Chris Mason-Paul was really sort of hot on this, and I put a video about this, and I've had a load of people come back, and so thank you for the feedback, saying that this really gives them a paradigm shift, meaning it changes the way completely they think about things. And I think I said it by accident once, and it really worked well, and I've used it several times since, and it's a very effective way of doing it. Say, and this is a good line to start with, saying if we decide to take you on, okay, you know, that you're not begging people to come on, but if we decide to take you on, do you realise Kleeneze are taking a much bigger risk on you than you're taking on them? If in the first 30 days you decide it's not for you, Kleeneze will write off the cost of your kit and catalogues, which cost them £160. So they'll send you £160, and all they ask in return is that you put a £25 deposit down on that, and you can walk away with that if it's not for you anytime within the first 30 days. So you don't risk absolutely anything at all. Kleeneze are the ones that are doing the risk on you, and that does change the way that they view and think about it. So change is not a bad thing. Okay, and I can, you know, I mean, embrace it when it happens. You know, don't live back in the past. You know, ask yourself, is what I'm doing now working for today and moving forward? The last thing you want to be known as is a dinosaur that isn't up to date with things. And like I said, we've got brilliant products, brilliant catalogs. We've got a brilliant team behind us at head office, and you've got brilliant leaders within the business that you can go to for support. So don't be frightened of change. And one of the things that if you haven't done it yet, is to book your ticket for the Christmas showcase that I mentioned earlier. I'm not on any commission from Kleeneze, I wish I was, for promoting this, but I know the difference that can make to your business if you book for that on the 30th of August. Something that some people are not clear on, if you've started since the 4th of January, you've just got to phone Kleeneze Service Centre. They will reserve you a ticket, nothing to pay at all, but worth £20, and send it out to you. If you joined before the 4th of January this year, it's £20, but as you guys know anyway, it's worth every penny, because there's going to be so much great training, great offers, that you'll walk away completely boosted up for the Christmas period. Now I'm just going to get this off here. Hopefully you guys have been able to see what we've been talking about here. Let me just stop the screen share. Now hopefully that'll work, and you should be able to see me now, and I'll just bring on the chat box as well. So hopefully you guys have got something out of this evening. I'm just going to put in as well, while we're doing this, I'm not used to pressing the buttons as well as actually doing the talking, of course, so I'm just going to put that up there as well, so that the link is there on the right hand side for those of you that want to go or need to book for the Christmas showcase. Okay, like I said, if you are new to the business, don't click on the button there, just phone the service centre tomorrow. So hopefully, like I said, I haven't got a clue how that came across. Sue didn't knock on the door to say there was a problem, so I'm fingers crossed that the actual presentation did come across okay. Literally, like I said, about a minute or so before we weren't actually going to be able to do this webinar. So like I said, hope it came across okay for everybody, that you got something out of that. And we haven't got anything planned yet for the next webinar. We'll let you know as soon as we do. Okay, and then obviously we'll put it on social media, or we'll email you out as well. So, and if you are, you can go to the Team Webinar site and subscribe to our updates as well, of course. So thank you very much for joining us, everybody. I can see that your comments coming through now on the right hand side, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm glad that you did see something, and we'll be back and see you very, very soon. Good night, everyone.